Holy catfish, are you ready for this? Hello, gals, and welcome to Sober Living Snippets, where we live alcohol-free so we can heal our relationships, feel youthful again, and ditch regret and shame. And, as I like to say, a whole lot more. I'm Becca, and I got a snippet for you, but I'm guessing you knew that. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the snippet. If you're new, welcome, double welcome. Listen, gals, today I want to talk about... Ready for it? Enthusiasm. Enthusiasm. Why? Well, let me just ask you this. Are you enthusiastic about your life? Now, I'm not asking you if you're a crazy person running around all the time, doing cartwheels and screaming in ecstasy. But seriously, what are you excited about? What excites you? You know what worries me? Many of us who use alcohol aren't excited about anything, or very little. Life has become two-dimensional. Life has become worse than two-dimensional. I don't know if there's such a thing, but we use alcohol because life is just there. We aren't excited about anything, and in fact, we have so much going on that we need a glass of wine or two, or whatever our preferred poison is, to make our lives tolerable. All I want to say is, oh my God, that is so sad. Especially when I realize that that's how I lived my life until I was over 50. So, today, I want to encourage you, I want to show you, I want to remind you, I want to talk to you about enthusiasm. Let's start with an ordinary definition. Merriam-Webster gives us 1, strong excitement and active interest. 2, something causing a feeling of excitement and active interest. Enthusiasm comes from the Greek in theos, which means possessed by a god or inspired. Enthusiasm, in theos, inspired. Okay, why do we care? Why am I talking about this? Well, I mean, I'm sure you can already see why it would matter, but let's just stop and think about life without any strong excitement or active interest in anything, except maybe a bottle of wine. That is really sad. And that's how I lived. I tried to get excited about stuff when I went off to college and decided I was going to try and overachieve my way to sobriety and happiness, which, by the way, never works. I wasn't enthusiastic or excited. It was just, well, I better get my ass in gear and do something and achieve something so I can feel like I'm not going to want to kill myself when I wake up every morning. It was awful. Look, it was an awful way to live. Now, hopefully you're not that bad, but I do know this. Most of the women I meet who are struggling with alcohol really don't have much enthusiasm for life. We've been through the ringer. We've been through it many, many times, and we're not feeling great. And I want to remind you about enthusiasm. In case you've forgotten, there is such a thing, and that a real life, a true and happy life, should have some enthusiasm in it. Now, like I say, you're not running around doing cartwheels every day, but something should be exciting us. Here's a couple of interesting quotes for you. I really love these quotes, so I'm going to share them with you. Winston Churchill said, "Success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm." Now, that's an interesting quote. How do you do that? Well, here's the thing, gals. If you failed to quit drinking over and over like I did, but you're still trying, you can probably chalk that up to some enthusiasm. You would probably get to success quicker if you could muster the enthusiasm despite all the failures, right? That's one way of looking at that. No matter how many times we failed, we must have faith that we can get where we want to go. And the best way to do that is have others on your side. Be doing it with others so that you don't, we cannot muster enthusiasm by ourselves. We can't sit in a room and be our own cheerleader. So again and again and again, right? I remind you that you need to be with others on this journey. So that's Winston Churchill. Here's another one from Mary Kay Ash that I love. She says, a mediocre idea that generates enthusiasm will go further than a great idea that inspires no one. Enthusiasm is so powerful that you don't even have to have something really amazing going on. If you're excited about it, it's contagious. Now, what's that got to do with sobriety? Really, it has to do with is when I started thinking about this, I thought about you and I thought, for me, I had forgotten the word. It wasn't even in my vocabulary. I mean, enthusiastic about life? Come on, I'm just trying to survive. We end up down in survival mode, hating ourselves, in so much pain and agony because we have this ball and chain around our neck that the idea of living life free, let alone enthusiastically, is sort of, what? I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. I'm just glad I'm still breathing, right? Now that is so sad that I wanted to remind you that sobriety, that true recovery, does lead to enthusiasm for life. I can tell you this, I've had many failures since sobering up. When I decided to go from college professor to online sobriety coach, hello, do you have any idea how hard that was? Oh, training to be a life coach wasn't hard. Getting clients, learning how to do business online after teaching literature for 20 years. What do I know about business? There were many, many, many failures, but the thing that kept me going was an enthusiasm and desire to be working with you, to be helping you. I knew I had a spark in me that would help others. I just knew it and knew that I could help you. I knew that hearing my voice would help you. And so despite failure after failure after failure, and there have been so many, I'm still incredibly enthusiastic about the work that I'm doing. The fact that you're hearing my voice and other women in the future will hear my voice and be inspired and get sober and feel amazing and experience their own enthusiasm. And that's what I get to see firsthand with the women who join me. Now, what are we going to get into your life that can create that sense of enthusiasm? What can we get in your life that will create that sense of enthusiasm? The fact of the matter is, it's likely you can't answer that question right now, and that's okay. But I wanted to remind you that that's where you can get to. And you don't have to push that. Just go through the recovery process and it will naturally come because you're a human. You've got a heart, you have desires, you have talents, you've got creativity inside you, you've got your own path that you're supposed to be traveling, and you're not traveling it because you're dulled by alcohol. So once you get rid of it and get true recovery, which is not that difficult as long as you're on a recovery path, you, my dear, will all of a sudden start to feel some enthusiasm for the things that you were meant to have enthusiasm about all along. It will come to you. And you'll get those butterflies in your tummy just by being alive. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I don't care how old you are or what you've been through. Yes, it's there inside of each and every one of us, regardless of our age, regardless of what we've been through. It is there. You are spirit, and enthusiasm bubbles up when we are inspired. So don't worry about running around trying to find out what makes you enthusiastic. That's not the message here today. The message here today is start today to get your recovery going, get your sobriety and then your recovery. First you put down the bottle and then you pick up the tools that are there in front of you to help you get to recovery, real recovery. And from there, the enthusiasm and the joy for life will return. It will return. It will come back. And if you never had it, get this. You'll get to experience it for the first time. I never had it. The first time I ever felt enthusiastic about life was in my 50s. At about 54, I would say, after a couple of years of sobriety. And the only reason it took me 2 years is I couldn't find the path to help me recover. I kept failing and kept falling down. Everybody just kept pointing me towards 12-step meetings that weren't inspiring me. And so I had to fight and scratch and fight to try and find the way that was right for me, a person of my age and my experience, a mature professional woman. There was no path laid out for me, so I had to invent it, create it, figure it out on my own. And it was that experience that made me go, hey, wait a minute, there's other women like me who can't find a path that is made for them. And that's where the passion started bubbling up. And here we are today, right?
Woo-hoo!
So just know that the first step is sobriety, and that what you have to look forward to is a joy that you never expected. I hope you believe me, because it is true. I'm not making this up. Let me give you another quote before we go. This one is from Henry David Thoreau, that amazing 19th century American philosopher, said, "None are so old as those who have outlived enthusiasm." None are so old as those who have outlived enthusiasm. Gals, we are mature women, but we haven't outlived enthusiasm. There is nothing like childlike enthusiasm. Not childish, childlike. Remember, we got our big girl pants on. But we can still have enthusiasm for life. We really, really can. And if I've given you nothing else today, I hope I've given you some enthusiasm to get started. Because the sooner you start, the sooner you get there. How do you start? Simple. Go to the show notes, book a call with me, and you and I will chat, and we'll talk about the best path for you. I have several paths. They all work for women just like you and me. And remember, my dear, I'm rooting for you. Thanks for popping in. Be sure to come back tomorrow so we can keep your head on straight. Sending you buckets of love.